Right, welcome everyone. This is now session 9. So today we're going to, my intention is to finish off the current exercise that we're doing, exercise 1. According to the schedule, we start exercise 2 in session 10, so that's Thursday. So as I say, my aim is to finish off exercise 1 today and get the floor plan onto a sheet and then have a look at actually sort of printing the PDF. So if you can just open up the exercise, which is at the end of this section here, so class exercise 1. So just open the PDF now. I have made corrections in this document, so it should all be okay now. So if we go down where we left off in our last session, we just put the roof and the floor, roof on and the floor underneath. So, and we changed the part of the roof to convert it to a gable. That's the part over the lounge. So what we're going to do next is add the fascia and gutters to the roof. And then we're going to add what we call rooms to the floor plan, and then update the names of those rooms. Then we're going to look at sort of creating the floor plan that will ultimately go onto the sheet. So if I can get you to open up your exercises in Revit. So if you're looking at the floor plan, it should look like that currently. 3D view, it looks like that. So as I say, what we need to do now is actually just put the fascias on and then the gutters in that order. So, and I guess it's probably best to work in a 3D view to do this. And we did do this in the last exercise. Now, just as a refresher, adding the fascias, you'll use the tool here at the bottom of the roof button, the split tool here. So roof and roof fascia. So initially what we do is we put a couple of fascias either side of the gable, so that's the starting point. Now the boards on either side of the gable there are, although we use the fascia tool, they're not really called fascias. They're actually a barge board, but we use the fascia tool to add them. So it's just really a case of picking the top edge of each roof section.
So is this the simple house or the CAD import exercise?
This is the simple house, exercise 1, simple house. So if you can just add those, initially just add those two fascia pieces. Okay, so with the barge boards, if you recall, we actually extended each barge board slightly, and the way that we did that was to actually just click and drag the end of the barge board out beyond the roof. Now, once you do that, you get a number here, so a parameter, which is the dimension length. So this is I guess the distance that the barge board is extending beyond the roof, the side of the roof. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to set it to an offset of 150, but it has to actually be a minus. You actually have to put that in as a minus, if you recall from the last time we did this. So at minus 150. If you put it in as a positive, it actually sort of shortens the barge by 150. Putting in a minus will actually extend it. So if we move around the roof, you can see how it's extended beyond the roof at the side there. So I'll get you to do that on the other side. Just extend the barge, just pull it out, and then click on the number there and put in minus 150. Once you've done that, just click modify or hit the escape a couple of times just to clear that. Having put on the barge board at the front, I'll then get you to use the same tool, fascia tool, to add the barge boards around the other edges of the roof. So the horizontal, so these are what we call a fascia in the true sense. So just by clicking the top edge of the roof on each side. So it's just a case of moving around the building and clicking the top edge, and the fascia itself will the new section will join the previous and form a corner. And then just go as far as this section here, which stops just inside the barge boards at the front. Okay, so that's what we've just added. That's those series of fascias. All right, so once you've put the fascias on, just zoom in nice and close. Just where I am here, this side of the building, is the best starting point, I guess, to add the gutters. So if you then click the bottom of the roof tool and go down to roof gutter, and with the gutters themselves, the part of the fascia that you click to add the gutter is the top outside face. So see what's highlighted. This is the line that's highlighting here at the moment. So left click that to add the gutter. Now again, you can just, as you move around the 3D model, just zoom in nice and close so you can see, make sure that you're selecting the correct line to add the next section of gutter. Just continue around the building. So if you can appreciate, the gutter stops and starts either side of the gable. So as I say, as you can see, that's where the gutter starts over this side, and then it stops over this side. So if you actually click each section of fascia, the gutter should be continuous. It should be one piece like it is here. All right, so having done that, having added the gutters, the fascia and the gutters, I'll get you to return back to the floor plan. And we'll have a look at adding the rooms now to the various spaces inside the building. Okay, sorry, just before we get to rooms, it might be worthwhile, I'm just thinking it might be worthwhile to actually just open up each of your elevations. So in the project browser, just go down to elevations and just open up the east elevation, just double click. It's a good way of actually perhaps just sort of having a look at the building, I guess the relationship between the roof and the building itself, the roof height. It's also good to sort of just check the fascia and the gutters to make sure they're placed correctly. The roof itself, I guess, the ceiling level should be passing through the roof at a, or the roof itself should just be sitting a little bit lower than the ceiling level line. So just have a look at each of the elevations quickly, just to make sure everything looks okay. Over here, we're sort of seeing the barge board extending just beyond the roof itself by 150. South elevation, which is the front view. It's also, I guess, another check to make sure that your windows are at the correct height at 2.1. And the thing is that if I go back to the 3D view here, I'm just going to delete the gutters because I just want to perhaps just show you something, just a little technique with the gutters. I'll just delete them and put them back on again. So if you can appreciate that as you click the fascia itself on each side, the gutter will automatically join as it does here. If you stop for any reason, if you actually stop and you want to actually continue the gutter, what you can do is you can actually select, and this will work with fascia as well. If you select the gutter that here where I've stopped, you can go up to this tool here, which is Add Remove Segments. Okay, so if you want to continue the gutter, you can select the last piece of gutter, go to Add Remove Segments, and then continue on. Okay, so if you do stop for any reason, you can continue using that particular tool. Okay, so as I said, if we go back to the floor plan now, and we'll have a look at adding what we call a room to the various spaces inside the building. Now on the on the architecture tab, if we go to the room and area panel, this one here, so when you've drawn up your floor plan, when you're ready to add the room names, we sort of incorporate the room name or the room tag with a room itself. And if you have a look at the little video that's playing, essentially once we click the room tool, what we do is we click inside each of the spaces to add what's known as a room. Okay. So if you click on the room tool, what comes out is what we call a room. As you move inside the building, the room itself, the room automatically detects the four walls of each space. so it adapts to the shape. So as long as the space is enclosed by walls initially, the room tool will detect the boundaries and then create what's known as a room. Now the other option is to, so when you click the room tool, you can actually place the room singly like that by clicking. You can actually choose this option here, which is place rooms automatically. Now if I click that one there, it says 9 rooms created automatically. Okay, so if you are intending to actually add a room to each space, that's probably a nice quick way of doing it. Otherwise, you'd actually click in each space individually to place a room. Okay, so it's now created what's known as not, or it's actually created a room inside each space. Now, what the room essentially calculates the area of the space. Okay, it adds a tag, or includes a tag, and it also includes a number. Now, if you were to click directly on the tag, okay, so when you mouse over the tag itself, which is the word room and the number, it says room tag Oz. If you click directly on it, just left click once, you can come across to the type properties of the room tag, and if you actually go into the you come over to the properties of the room tag, if you actually click the edit type button, it takes you into what's known as the type properties of the room tag itself. So we have the ability to actually change the aspects of the tag here. Now, what you can choose to do is, so the room itself potentially can calculate the volume of the space. Okay, so it can calculate the volume, and it can also calculate the area. So if we tick area here and click apply, you'll see that it automatically gives us the area of each space. Now, what I'm going to suggest that we do is to sort of keep this nice and simple. We're actually going to not include the area. We're not even going to include the number. So just untick all of these options. And when you click OK, what's left is just the name of the room itself. So having done that, I'll just clear that. Having done that, what you then do is actually click directly on the word room and click again. So it's so click and click. So click, click, not a quick double click, but just a click, click, and you can then update the name. So in this case, what I've clicked on here is bedroom 2. So if I can suggest that, if you haven't already, can you just have this document open and just go to the very last page, which is the sheet, and just working from the sheet, just update the room names as per the sheet. Now the room names have to be in capital, so make sure they're uppercase. So this room here is actually the hallway here. Now, when you click on the tag itself, you can actually move it So there's a little move symbol here that if you drag it across and maybe to about there, or even a little bit lower, so drag it down to there, and this one becomes hall. Some of the, in this case, the WC, see the word room up here is actually sitting outside the room, so just click on it, single click on it, find the little drag symbol, the move symbol, and just drag it down so it's, you won't be able to go too low, otherwise you'll get a warning, but you can drag it down to the middle of the room like so. Even if you take it up slightly higher so it's not over the door itself, okay, so you can read it.
How can you add the dining?
Yeah, okay, so yeah, that's a good question. So we've actually got kitchen and dining here. So the next question is, how do you actually put the two room tags in one space? So what we do over here is that if you can appreciate that if you mouse over, if you sort of put your mouse over this area here, if you go to the edge of one of the walls, inside face of one of the walls, and hit the tab key, you will eventually select the room itself. See how that's pre-selecting? See the diagonal lines there? So that's the actual room itself. If I click on it, that's the room, okay? The room that we've added. Now what we can do, just move that up slightly, what we can do is we can actually divide a space into two parts, into two separate rooms, okay? And in the case here where we've got kitchen and dining, so it's just one space, but we're actually sort of designating part of it to be kitchen and part of it to be dining. So so effectively, I'm going to show you a technique to actually split the space into two parts and create two separate rooms. Now, that feature or technique is called a room separator. Okay, so we've got room and we've got room separator. Now, a room separator creates a separation line to bound rooms where no walls or other room bounding elements exist. So it's perfect for this situation. So what we do is we select that tool and just draw a line across. So see where I am at the moment here. So I'm just going to line up with this wall face here, but I'm going to click the inside wall here as the starting point of the separation line and take it across to the other side of the room. Now, what happens is that I get a warning here to say that the room tag is outside the room. Enable leader or move room tag within its room. So that's fine. We can click the move to room button here and that will resolve the problem. Okay, move to room. So it's now this tag here is now, sorry, it's probably this one down here. So it's actually its correct place is actually this room down here, which is dining. So drag it down to here and then just click on it and update the room name.
So when it says room tag is outside of its room, enable leader or move room tag within its room, press OK.
Click OK, that's fine. But ultimately, I guess you're just going to have to work out which tag, where it needs to go. So it was actually sitting up here, so it needs to be down here. So just drag it down into this space here. So what's happened is that we've, and what I'll do is I'll just turn on my thick lines. So I've just turned on thick lines so you can actually sort of see the room separation line a little bit clearer there. So what we've done is we've now divided the space up, but we've restricted the original room to this area down here. So if I move my pointer to the edge of the wall here, or to the room separation line, and hit the tab key a couple of times, okay, so see that? So just pre-select the room separation line, hit the tab key a couple of, or at least once or twice, and you can see that the room, this is now the dining room. So it sort of incorporated the whole area, but it's now restricted to the dining room. Okay. hence why we had to sort of drag the tag down to this area here. Now, what we need to do, so that in effect there is no room now in place for the kitchen. So what we have to do is we have to go back up to the room tool, and in this case just put your cursor inside the area here for the kitchen, and then just click to place the 10th room. So this is the kitchen itself, and then once you've done that, just hit the escape key a couple of times. Now ideally, when you're doing this, if you know you have to actually divide up a space into two parts, it would be better to actually draw the separation line first before you add your rooms. Okay, so we've probably gone about it it's not incorrect, but it's probably easier to do that, is to add the separation line and then add all your rooms afterwards. So it's just a case now of just going around and updating those room names. And as you do, just as mine are, see how the room names are sitting up here. Just bring them down and try and centralise them in the room itself, or the space. The room names, as you move the room names around, you'll get these alignment paths which will help you to line them up. See that alignment path there? Little blue dashed line. Same with this one here. So if I move that up, I can line it up with the bath, the laundry and the kitchen. Just change that one to uppercase. Okay. Okay. Now, if for some reason you accidentally delete one of the tags, so if I select this tag here and I actually delete it, Revit gives me a warning to say that a room tag was deleted, but the corresponding room still exists. Okay. You can place another tag for the room using the room tag tool, or select the room and delete it. So as I say, it is possible to actually, you can delete the tag and you can also delete the room, but the room itself is still not physically deleted from the project. And I won't go down that path at the moment, but only to say that just be careful when you're placing rooms, because if you actually click twice into the same space when you're actually placing rooms, you can actually place 2 rooms in the same space, and what happens then is you sort of get this double counting. So Revit counts the space twice, and the thing is that once you've actually added rooms to your building, you can then ultimately create a schedule, a room list with your areas, and then you can sort of add you could add a schedule to a floor plan, and then sort of work out your total areas. So that's one of the reasons that you actually add rooms to the building itself. So it does those calculations. So if you do delete a tag, or a tag is not produced, you can actually go up to the room and area panel and then click tag room. Okay, so if none of the rooms are tagged, you could actually tag them all by using this option. If you just want to tag a room, click tag room, and then see how it automatically it remembers what it was named. So when the tag comes in, it comes in as bed 1. Okay, so quite easy just to put that tag back in again. So click to place and then escape. So with the tag room, see, as I move from space to space, see how it changes bed 2, bed 1, bed 3, hall. So it knows what the tag name should be, providing you've actually updated the room name. And if you select one of the rooms, so if I hit the tab key here, so I guess what I'm doing is I'm going to the inside face of a wall, or the separation line here, and I'm hitting the tab key. Now what the tab key does in this case, okay, now this is quite an important concept of Revit, okay, this is called selection, or a cycle of selection. Now the thing is that sometimes it's very difficult to select an object, particularly one that you can't see. Okay, so I know there's a room there, but I want to actually select it for some reason. Now I can't click on it here, but the only way that I can really get to it is to sort of pre-select something that is near it, and hit the tab key. So what I'm doing is I've selected my chain of walls here. If I hit the tab key again, I'm selecting something else, and then hit the tab key again, I've got the room. Okay, so hitting the tab key, if you're working in an area and you're trying to select something, you just can't, then what you do is you mouse over, you pre-select something that's close, and hit the tab key enough times to pre-select the item that you want to select. And when it shows up like that, you can left click and select it. Okay, so this is selection cycling. This is quite an important aspect of Revit. And in selecting that room, in this case kitchen, you can see, if you have a look at the properties of the room, you can see that it's giving you the area okay, see the area. So it's actually 7.503 square metres. It's giving you the perimeter, okay. It's allocated a number to the room itself, and it's also, this is the name that you've given it. See how it's reading kitchen? Okay, so it's actually the room itself that you're naming, okay. You've named it through the tag, but it's actually given the room a specific name. All right, so I'm just trying to sort of introduce the concept of selection cycling more than anything here. Okay, now what we're going to do next is we're going to make a copy now of this floor plan. Going to make a copy of this view, and the copy is the view that we're actually going to put onto a sheet. And I guess it's just introducing this concept of actually duplicating duplicating views for various reasons. Okay, so if you can appreciate that we've got, as far as the floor plans are concerned, and I'll just drag this out so you can see it. As far as our floor plans are concerned, we've got ceiling level, floor level, we've got a site view, and we've got one called True North. Now, I guess the thing is that the current view that we're using here, I guess, is more of a working view. It's perhaps not one that we would put onto a sheet. So we're actually going to create a view which is going to be an identical copy that will ultimately go onto the sheet itself, or onto a sheet for printing. And I guess the thing is, why we would do this is that we might create a view for dimensioning, for full annotation, which is what we're going to do. You might create a copy of this floor plan and have a I guess a colorized version of it without dimensions to indicate the areas and the spaces. There's lots of different reasons you'd actually duplicate a view to show the different parts of the building. You know, you might create a floor plan view to just show the furniture inside. There's lots of reasons. So, to create a new floor plan or a new view, and we're not creating a new level, we're just actually duplicating the current floor plan, this one here. So to actually create a copy of this one, highlight it, right mouse, click your right mouse button, and then go down to duplicate view. Now you've got three options here. I'll just sort of just briefly explain the first two. So the first one is duplicate, and the second one is duplicate with detailing. Now duplicate, and I guess I'll get you just to actually select duplicate first.
Go across to the next little box and it says duplicate.
Yeah, so so if you can see that the view that was created is called floor level copy 1. Okay, now so have a look at the view that's created. So we're looking at floor level copy 1. This is it here. Okay, so like I said, what we did initially was from floor level, we right mouse and we go duplicate view and we selected duplicate. And what that did was create this copy here, which is floor level copy 1. So is everyone okay with that? So it creates a new floor plan view and it shows us a floor plan of our building. Now, what do you notice about the new view?
Details are not there.
There's no dimensioning, there's no tags, and there's no room names. Okay. So it hasn't brought any of the annotation with it. So what I'd like you to do now is actually go back to the floor level, double click the floor level floor plan, the original one here. And I'd like you to right mouse on this one now, as we did previously, and go to duplicate view and duplicate with detailing.
So go back to floor level.
Yeah, floor level, duplicate and right mouse, duplicate view and duplicate with detailing.
So it just duplicates everything with the annotations and everything.
Yeah, so this is the second copy of floor level. This is copy 2. Okay, so copy 2 has brought across all of the annotation, or brought with it all of the annotation.
Duplicate the detail.
So I've done this purposely to show you graphically the difference between those two options. And what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to go back to, or just highlight floor level copy 1. Okay, highlight it and delete it. And you can just delete it with the delete key on your keyboard. Okay, so we've just got, we're just left with floor level copy 2. Now, typically what we would do here is we would actually rename this copy to something that's more appropriate. Now, in fact, we are going to rename it, and if I go back to the procedure document for this exercise and scroll back up to the list of instructions, so in step 15, okay, duplicate with detailing the floor level floor plan, create a new floor plan view as follows, and call it floor plan dimensioned. Okay, so that's what you're going to rename this new view, floor plan dimensioned.
Floor plan dimension.
Yeah, floor plan dimensioned. Now, in the instructions, it says in step 16, so add tags to all doors and windows. Now, I think most of you have done that, haven't you? Now, just with tagging, I guess my recommendation here is to actually not tag doors and windows as you're placing them. It's easier to sort of just concentrate on placing them correctly without worrying about tags. But just with tagging itself, if you place your windows in your walls and they are not the correct way, they're not facing the correct way, what happens is that when you do tag them, the tag will be placed inside the room. So that's your indication that the window is the wrong way around. Okay, so the thing is that you would have to delete the tag, or you'd have to actually swap the window around. So, for instance, with window number 9, if I delete that tag, delete the tag, And if by the way, with your windows, another indication of whether the window is the correct way around is that these flip arrows should be on the outside. Now, if they're on the inside, it means the window is the wrong way round. Now, to tag a window, if it's not tagged, there's a couple of ways of doing it, and you do it from the Annotate tab, and you choose Tag by Category, TG for short. Now, if the window is the wrong way round, the tag will actually be on the inside. And invariably, when students do all their tagging and so forth, during the normal process of drawing up a floor plan, once they put all their windows in and they tag, some of the tags are actually on the inside, and that's where they leave them, and they hand up their work with tags on the inside. And I'll take one look at your submission, and I'll look at the tags on the inside, and I'll just give it straight back to you, because it's just not acceptable. And it sort of says to me, okay, well, yes, there is a mistake made here, and I appreciate that you're going to make mistakes, but it all comes back to final checking, okay? And believe me, if you draw up a building and you make a mistake or a fundamental mistake, it's quite likely that the builder will actually follow your plans and actually build the building the way that you've drawn it. So be careful, okay? Be really careful, because communication is vital, and this is communication. You're communicating with the builder, and if you make a mistake, it could be built that way. A room built without a door.
The apartment in Grove Street in the city.
Yeah, so the thing is that, if that happens, the best thing to do is actually delete the tag, knowing that the window is around the wrong way, correct the window, and then just go back to Annotate and just re-tag. But when you tag, just make sure that you remove the leader, untick leader here, because if that's ticked, the tag will have a leader attached to it, which is not correct. Sometimes you do put a leader in, but it's very rare. Untick leader and then re-tag. And I guess the thing is that, and I'll just delete all the tags here. Now, to delete the tags here, the quick way of doing it is to actually right mouse on one of them and do a select all instances in view. Okay, so select all instances in view. Okay, be careful of in project, because you might have other views with these tags, other views that contain tags. So just in view, the current view. So it selects all of those tags now very quickly, and then I can delete them. Same with the door tags. I mean, I don't want you to delete yours, but I'm just showing you how you can quickly select things like this with a view to deleting them. Now, if you had drawn up your floor plan and you need to put your window and door tags back in very quickly, rather than picking them individually, you can do it by Annotate and Tag All. This option here, Tag All. And this allows you to nominate any aspect of the view that is potentially taggable to add your tags very quickly by category. Okay, so if I just want door tags and window tags, I tick those categories and click OK, and it puts all the tags in. all in one suite. So tag all, that is. So what I'd like you to do now is actually go back to your floor level view. Okay, so go back. We'll come back to this view in a minute, but go back to your floor level view, and I'd like you to delete all of your dimensions and all of your tags in this view. Okay, delete dimensions and tags using that particular technique. So right mouse on one of them, select all instances in view, and then delete. Okay, so you're just essentially just left with the floor plan itself plus the room names. And when you've done that, I'll get you to just return to the floor plan dimensioned. Okay, so the floor plan dimensioned will be unaffected. It won't. So you'll still see your dimensions and your tagging. Okay, now just going back to our document here. So in step 17, it asks you to make the roof visible in the floor plan view. Now, when it says floor plan, this is the new floor plan called floor plan dimensioned. To do this, set the range base level to ceiling level. So this setting can be found in the view properties in the underlay section. So what does that mean? Well, effectively we want to see the roof in this view. Okay, and I guess the thing is with, and I have sort of talked about, I've spoken about actually hiding categories in views, haven't I? Okay, now the roof itself is not hidden per se in this view. The roof itself is sitting on the level above. Okay, so we can show the roof in this view by effectively showing what's on the level above our current level. So we're at floor level. Okay, if there is something physical on the level above, as in the roof, we can potentially see that by actually making that level visible in the current view. Okay, and it's known as an underlay. So you can appreciate that if you're working with multi-storey construction, you've got potentially, if you're in the middle of that building, you've got floors above you and you've got floors below you. So the underlay property, property or switch allows you to actually show what's above your current level or show what's below your current level. Okay, there may be reasons why you sort of need to see above and below. Mainly it's below. We actually sort of, it's sometimes advantageous to actually see what's below our current level in case we have to trace it for some reason, or just work out the relationship between what's in our current level to what's in the level below. So in this case, we use it to actually show the roof. And the way this works is that in your view properties, you've got a collection of settings called underlay. See it, this one here? Now we're talking about a setting called range base level. okay, and it's currently set to none. So if we click over here into this cell here, you'll see that you've got two other options. You've got floor level and you've got ceiling level. Now, if let's say if this was multi-story, we would be able to see every level that we'd created in the project in this list. Okay. Now, if we say, okay, we want to see what's on the ceiling level. Okay, we want to show what's on the ceiling level in the current view. We select ceiling level, and this is something you'll need to do in the assessment. Okay, because you will need to show the roof in your floor plan in the assessment. So we select ceiling level, and if you then zoom in, you will be able to see the roof, the fascias and the gutters in this current view. Okay, now typically in a floor plan view, yes, we want to see the roof. We want to see the roof outline. The roof outline itself, as in the line work of the roof, ultimately needs to be what? Dashed. If you've ever looked at a floor plan as part of a set of working drawings, the roof is generally dashed or broken. It's a broken line type. What we don't want to see is the gutters and fascias. Okay, so if you can appreciate, if you zoom in really close, and I'll just turn off my thick lines, I'm seeing here gutters and I'm seeing fascias. Okay, now we're going to, or what we have to do now is actually hide each of these categories in the current view. Now, the way to hide them in the view, and this is what I call a hide by category. This is not a temporary hide, okay? This is more of a permanent hide. This is a hide by category. So the way to hide something by category, one of the ways to do it is to actually pre-select it, hit your right mouse button. So remember, this is the, remember, select all instances, okay? So this is just right mousing on the object. Now in this case, what we do is we go to, hide in view, okay, hide in view by category. So again, this is something that you're going to have to do in the assessment task. You're going to have to hide the fascia and gutters in the view. Now, if you can't select the gutters and the fascia or the roof itself, do you remember what I said about the selection options? No? Where are the selection icons in the view or in the screen? Where are the where do you change the selection options? There's two places. A set of icons in the bottom right hand corner. Okay, up here also under the modify button is probably easier to get to. I'm sure I have spoken about this before. So rule of thumb, okay, this is important, so even if you have to write this down, because the thing is that using the machines here in class, these options are going to reset themselves every time you use the computers in the room here. So I guess the thing is, it's one of those things you're going to have a look at during every session. Now, the rule of thumb is that the first 4 options are ticked, no exceptions. Number 5 is always unticked. Okay, so first 4. So these are the selection options. Now, one of them is select underlay elements. See that one there?
Yep.
Now, if that's unticked, you cannot select the underlay that we've just turned on. So the roof itself is called an underlay. Okay, yes, it's a roof, but to make it visible, it's known as an underlay. Now, if this is unticked, you won't be able to select it. Okay, so again, when you come back over to the gutter in this case, and you right mouse on it, hide in view by category. Which turns it off in the view, which leaves you with the fascia. Okay, so again, pre-select it, right mouse on it, hide in view by category. Okay, so we're going to now just select the roof itself, or pre-select the roof, and change the roof outline to a dashed line style. So the way we do that is, again, right mouse. This is one of the ways we can do it. So what we do is we go down to override graphics in view by category. Okay, so we're changing the appearance of this object by category. So so you can appreciate that this is the roof category.
What's the difference between element and category in that case?
Yeah, good question. What's the difference between element and category?
Singular and plural.
So if you had 2 buildings, 2 separate buildings in your floor plan, each with a roof on it, you could actually, if you wanted one dashed and one solid,
You do it by element.
you do it by element. So element means that you individually pick the object and change it. Category means you change the entire category. So if you had 2 roofs or 3 roofs in the project, changing them by category changes all of them. So it's on a category basis. It's more of a global basis, whereas elements is just individually. And generally, as a general rule, we always hide by category and override graphics by category as a general rule. Okay, it's better to do it that way than individually. So by category, and what we're changing is something known as the projection lines, this top option here. Now there's an arrow next to it which if you click will expand projection lines, and you've got pattern, line colour and line weight, which is thickness. So we're just changing the pattern, which is the what we call the line style, and in the drop list you've got a number of different line styles, and the one that I've specified is this one here called Centre, spelt C-E-N-T-R-E. Okay, so change the pattern to centre and then click OK. And as you can see, see how the lines are now dashed. Now, what I'd like you to do is, can you go up to the View tab, up to here, View tab, go across to the Graphics panel and select this one here, Visibility Graphics. I think we have had a quick look at that one, haven't we? So Visibility Graphics is your, I wouldn't call it a master control, but it actually controls what's happening in the current view. In terms of initially the visibility of objects by category, and notice here you've got projection and surface, and you've got lines, patterns and transparency. Now if you scroll down, now we're talking about model categories. If you scroll down to the R, see roofs, see where it says roofs? Yep. Now, can you see projection lines? See the dashed line there? Now, what we just did was we actually changed the roof outline to dashed or centre. Now, in doing that, see how it's now showing here in Visibility Graphics. If you click on that little on that line there and click again, it opens up what we call line graphics, which is essentially what we did when we changed when we overrode this by override graphics in view. So essentially you can do exactly the same thing here as we did by right mousing on this here, but it's just done through Visibility Graphics.
Mine is filled, that big.
Okay.
Why does it show up in the little box? I changed it, but it didn't show up there.
Yeah, if I click on this button here and I go to pattern and I say, and I scroll up and I say no override and click OK and click apply here, see how it changes this back to solid? Okay, so it's just another way of actually changing the projection lines of, in this case, the roof. So so I think have you got override there? Nothing at all?
It's grey filled in grey.
Okay. Yeah, so I'll come over in a minute and have a look. But yeah, if you click override here, so this is what we're doing, overriding the graphics in view. So if you click override there and then change the pattern to center and OK and apply, it's exactly the same as what we did here when we right moused on here and did override graphics in view. So it's the same process, it's just doing it a different way.
I'll figure it out.
Yeah, okay. Now I don't mean to confuse you with this, but I just want to show you another way of doing it. And the other reason for sort of having a look in this dialogue, because it's a dialogue that you need to get used to, because you will be using it quite a bit. The other reason for showing you this is if I expand the roof category here, see how it's got common edge, fascias, gutters, hidden lines and so forth. So you know how we hid the fascia and gutter by category? Or that when we hide them by category in the view, they become unticked here. Okay. Now, if you wanted to turn them back on again, you could actually re-tick them here and click apply, and they would come back in the view. So I'm sort of showing you, okay, you can hide them in the view by right mousing on them. But one way of bringing them back is to go into Visibility Graphics and untick them here. So if I untick them here, for instance, and click apply, they switch off in the view. Okay, so I guess the thing is that, you know, you can please yourself which way you do it, but if you know what categories you want to switch off in a view, you can actually go directly to this dialog and then untick them in the list here. But keep in mind that whatever you do in this dialog only affects this view. It doesn't affect any other view in the project, just this one view. Okay, now the other thing that I'd like you to do is remember the room separation line that we added. What I'd like you to do is I'd like you to hide that by category as well. Now, can I just show you a very quick way of doing it, even quicker than right mousing? Do you remember your keyboard shortcuts? Do you have your lists with you?
Yep.
Okay. So just remember your keyboard shortcuts. Now, within the project, I'm opening up keyboard shortcuts. So I'm actually doing that from View, User Interface, and Keyboard Shortcuts. Now, in the search up here, if I type the word hide, okay, as a search, type the word hide, notice that you've got hide in view by element, EH, hide in view by category is VH, unhide element EU, unhide category VU. Well, I don't tend to use those two, but I do use these two. More so the VH. So that's a very quick way of hiding things in a view by just issuing a shortcut. And I just wanted to draw that to your attention. So if I close the dialog, if I want to, and I'll just turn on thick lines so you can see that, if I want to hide that separation line, which is what we typically do, so once we've actually drawn the separation line, we hide it by category. If I select that object and type VH, it will do a hide by category. Okay. Yes. The question is, now that we've hidden the separation line, if we wanted to show it again, how do we find it? And of course, the thing is that yes, we can look for it through visibility graphics because it exists as a category. But if you simply cannot find it in the lists here, yes, you will eventually find it, but it might take some time. The way that you can actually reveal hidden elements, so if things are hidden by category in a view, they can still be seen, but you actually have to switch on a different screen. Okay. Now, at the bottom of your screen, I'll just put this back. At the bottom of your screen, there's a light bulb. Can you see the light bulb down the bottom here?
Next to the glasses.
Next to the glasses. Now that's known as Reveal Hidden Elements, and it switches on this special screen with a magenta border, and anything that is hidden by category will be this magenta colour. Okay, so you can see that our gutters and fascias are magenta, as is the separation line. As Ruben has pointed out, the shortcut for that is RH. No, I didn't know that. So I've learned something. So that's good. So the shortcut RH is Reveal Hidden Elements. one that I've never used. I only ever used the light bulb down here. Okay, but if you wanted to recover a category, if you wanted to switch it back on again, what you then do is you actually click on one of the objects, you go up to the top here and you do unhide category. See this one here? Okay, and the shortcut for that is VU. Okay, so if you don't want to click on the button here, you just select the object and type VU, just click away and deselect it, and see how it goes back to its normal colour. Now, in the current view here, what we do to go back to our normal view and switch off this special screen is we go back to the light bulb at the bottom and tick that or click that, and we're back to where we were, and our separation line is now visible. So I've sort of explained how to hide it and how to recover it. Okay, so this is called hiding by category. Now you can do it with hiding by elements, but again, try and avoid using hide by elements because you tend to lose track of things. Okay, category is a better option because at least you can go through visibility graphics and you can turn it back on again that way, or using this this process here or technique, which is reveal hidden elements.
What was VU again? Sorry. VU was
So VU is unhide category. So ultimately what we want to do is we actually want to hide that separation line, which if you'd drawn a few of them on your plan, you'd want to hide them all by category. So again, if you actually click one of them and do a hide by category, so you can either right mouse on it and do a hide in view by category, or use the shortcut VH. Okay, hide by category, VH. Does the same thing. Okay, so what I'm going to get you to do now is I just want you to tidy up your dimensions. And when I say tidy up, if you've got dimensions that look like this, you need to bring them together again. Okay, so you need to. I'll just move these out. Okay. Okay. Now, yeah, how close? Well, can you select one of your dimensions? Doesn't matter which one. Go across to the properties. Okay, properties over here. And I'd like you to click edit type. Okay. Now, we're not going to change. We're going to change an aspect of these dimensions, but I'm not going to go through the whole thing. We talk more about dimensioning in the next level of Revit, or dimension style setup. But dimension spacing, so the distance between one dimension set and the other, is set within the dimension style. So if you scroll down to the middle, just above, see the text heading here, up above that is dimension line snap distance. Can you see that?
Yep.
And that's currently set at 10 mil. Now that's fine. We'll leave it at 10. Normally I sort of bring that back to about 8. But we'll leave it at 10 for this exercise. But the dimension line snap spacing will determine the distance between one dimension and the other. Okay, so keep that in mind. It's currently 10 mil. Now, the other thing that I'd like you to change is the text width factor. okay, this one here, which is currently set to 1, I'd like you to change that to 0.7. Okay, so the width factor to 0.7. Okay, now when you click OK, just note the change in the dimensions here. So click OK. See how it's actually squashed them? It's made them narrower. So what that does is just makes them more readable. So it squashes them so they're not banging into one another. You know, where the dimensions get quite close.
I'm struggling to read it at all with that 0.7.
Can you zoom in?
Yeah, so they're still 2.5mm high, but they're actually at 0.7. So you can change that back to 0.8 if you want to, or 0.85. But I think that was I thought that was a quick change, just so that we could they would be readable. Now, with your dimensions, if you've got your dimensions separated like this, what you do is when you drag these down, when you drag one to the other, at a certain point you'll feel it sticking. Okay, and I don't know if you can see on screen, to the left of my dimension there's an extension, there's a blue dashed line there. Can you see that out here? Okay, so when you bring your dimension down, you'll feel it sticking and you'll actually see that blue dashed line, and at that point you actually let the dimension go and that becomes its final position. Okay, so again, this is quite important in getting the dimensions correctly spaced. And if I bring this dimension set up, I should get the, so yeah, there it is there. It's very, very faint on my system. There it is there. Can you see it? Just out to the left here. Okay, so just bring your dimensions together so that and ultimately what that is, so that's that dashed line, when it appears, that's your dimension snap spacing. So each of my dimensions now is 10 millimeters from the previous. So they're all the same. And having done that, what I'll get you to do is then just drag a selection window, a crossing window, through all of them, and then shift and down arrow and just bring them closer to your plan, about that distance. Okay, so click, drag a crossing window, and then shift and left arrow, bring them in. Up and across. Okay, so we're just bringing them not too close, but you know, just about that distance. Okay, so add step 20 is add dimensions and a north symbol. So we've got our dimensions in place. We've now brought them together for consistent spacing. So we're going to add a north symbol next, which is classified as annotation. So on the annotate tab up here, we go across to the symbol panel and we click the symbol button. Now this particular project template contains a north arrow type 1 here, which looks like this. So we just place that over here next to the floor plan. So just place one and hit escape. Now, for some reason, the H is sitting underneath here on the second line. Now we shouldn't. I mean, I don't know why that is, but to correct that, if you actually select the symbol after you've placed it, we have to actually make a change within what we call the family editor. So go up to the Edit Family button up here. Which loads this this symbol into the family editor. And if you click directly on the text here, see the text box that's highlighting. So left click on it. There's a couple of dots either side. Okay, see the dots? So if you actually click and drag them out, so it doesn't matter which one you click. I've clicked the right-hand side one and drawn it out. It then just brings the H up onto the end of north. And then what you do is you go up here to the to load into project, this button here, and load it back into the project. Now it'll actually come up and say overwrite the existing version, so you choose that option, and that fixes that particular glitch. Yeah, okay, so we've now fixed the north symbol, and I think again just turn off your thick lines, so convert them back to thin lines. So that makes all the line work consistent now. Now, if you can zoom out, just zoom out so you can see your 4 elevation markers like so. We're now going to go through and do going to prepare this view to go onto an A3 sheet. Okay, so this is what we call view preparation. So essentially, although the elevation markers need to be part of the view, we don't want to see them. So ultimately they're not going to be seen on the sheet itself. So what we have to do next is essentially clip or crop the view. We have to make the view smaller so it fits on the sheet. Now the view itself, to sort of see, I guess, how big the view is currently, in the view properties, okay, in the properties of the view, if you scroll down to this area here called extents, and we've got 3 settings here. We've got crop view and crop region visible and annotation crop. Now we'll just have a look at the top 2. So crop view and crop region visible. So when you get to this stage, I guess the instruction here is to actually tick these 2 options and then move across to the view itself. Okay, so the crop region that we can now see is this thing here. That's the crop region. Now what we do is we are using the 4 drag buttons on the crop region. We left click and drag, or these are called controls. So drag each of the controls inwards towards the plan and just stop above the dimensions here. And in fact, you can actually go beyond the dimensions. Okay, so you can actually go beyond or go closer to the building, okay, to about there. But note that if you actually drag that down through the building, that happens. So see how it's actually cropping the building? But it's not necessarily affecting the annotation until you actually go down further, okay? So I guess that the crop region is just, if you just wanted to show a smaller portion of this plan, you could use the crop region for that reason. But what we do is that we just bring the crop region in around the building, more or less stopping at the eave line. Okay, it's not going to crop the dimensions in this case. But what it will do is actually crop out see how it crops out the elevation markers? Which is what we're trying to achieve as well. So going through this process of making the crop region visible and cropping the view and adjusting the crop region is a part of the standard process for every view that you plan to put on a sheet. Now, once you've brought the crop region in, okay, we don't need to see it anymore, okay, but and what you can do is to actually switch it off, we go back to the properties here and untick crop region visible, this one here, but leave crop view ticked. That must always stay ticked. Okay, so we turn on the crop region so we can see it. We bring it in around the building and then we switch it off. Now that view now is ready to go onto a sheet. Okay, that's now prepared.
Do we do a section marker as well?
No, if we have time, we can probably just put a section through. Yeah. Now, just so is everyone okay with that?
So we get out of that, we just go apply now.
No, we've done that already.
Yeah. Now, just also note note under identity data. Okay. In this section here, you've got the view name. Okay, so the view name is floor plan dimensioned. Now note that you've got also title on sheet. Now next to title on sheet, I'd like you to click into this cell here and in uppercase type the word floor plan. So floor space plan, 2 words.
Apply.
Yeah, you can click apply. I'll just move over into the view. So as long as it stays there, so floor plan. Okay. Now, what I'll get you to do now is, can you, in your project browser, I'll just bring that up to here. In your project browser, if we go down to sheets, this branch here, so sheets in bracket all. Okay, expand sheets all, and you'll see that you've got a sheet there called A101 unnamed. Okay. Yes, if you can double click on the sheet A101, so double click and open it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so there's your sheet. Okay, now this is what we're looking at here is known as a title block. Now the title block itself, this one is huge. It's actually A0, so it's actually huge. Yeah, two A1s. But what we want to do is actually we need to use an A3. Okay, which is A3 is two A4s put together. So what we do is, if you can go to the Insert tab and click Load Family. Now, if you can appreciate that title blocks, this title block here is a family. To use or put in an A3 title block, we have to actually load it in separately through Load Family. And if you're looking for title blocks, you'll actually find them right at the end of the list here under title blocks. So double click the title blocks folder and you'll see them here. So the one you're currently looking at is the AO metric. The one we want is the A3 metric.
So we just click that once to select it.
Yeah, so click that, highlight that one and click open. Okay. And now there's a few ways of doing this, but probably the quickest way of changing the AO to an A3 is to actually select the AO, and in the type selector, see it's AO metric, in the type selector we've now got the A3 metric. See this one here? So if we actually select landscape now for the A3 metric, it swaps the AO to the A3. Okay. Now, if you type ZE for zoom extents, it makes it full screen. Okay. Now, over here, where it says A101 unnamed, can I get you to right mouse and click rename? Okay, so right mouse and click rename. And so this is the A101 is the sheet number. The name of this sheet, because it's going to have a floor plan on it, will be floor plan. So again, floor space plan in uppercase. And OK.
Floor plan.
Floor plan. So if I zoom into the lower bottom right hand corner, see how you've got the sheet number there, A101, and it's now reading floor plan on the title block itself because we've changed it here. Okay, so if you can appreciate that you can actually change the sheet name and number here by clicking, so click, and you can change it there as well. And if you change it here, it'll change it back here. Now on the so while we're down here, we can also click on the word owner and type in the client name. We can click on project name and put that in, and we can change the project number, the date, and the author, which is you. You can put your name in as well, and so the project number, date, and author you can put in. Now this information that we're putting in on the title block is actually on the last page of the instructions. Okay, so owner, project name, project number, and just put in the current date, and drawn by, you put in your name. Okay, so the way the title block is designed, obviously we can key in this information quite easily, update these fields. So once you've entered that information, I'll get you to go back to full screen. So ZE. Okay, so yeah, I guess the thing is that you can update the title block first, or you can put your views on your sheet and then update your title block afterwards. The information that we've just put in on the title block itself, you can also input that information on the Manage tab. So if you go to the Manage tab and you go to the Settings panel, here you've got Project Information, this button here. So if you have a look in Project Information, the information you've just put in down here is sitting up here as well. So if you were undertaking a project where you had several sheets, and this will happen in Revit Intermediate where we are producing 9 sheets, what you would do is you'd go straight to Project Information and you'd put the information in here, and what would happen is that every time you produced a sheet, the information would be transferred to that sheet automatically. The only thing that it won't, the only thing that's not put in automatically is you, as in drawn by. But everything else, so it just makes sense to put it into one spot here initially, and that'll be carried through to all sheets. Now, you don't have to remember this, okay? So don't worry too much about this project information. The thing is that once you enter this information onto one sheet, it will transfer it to all other sheets automatically anyway. So it's a two-way process, all right? But when you are setting up a new project and you have all this information, it just makes sense to put it in here first, and then when you create your sheets, it automatically populates the sheet. Okay, so what we do from here is that we come back to our project browser and we highlight the floor plan dimensioned. Now have your sheet open like this, have your sheet visible. In the project browser, just click and drag this view across to your sheet and let it go.
Just drop it in, drag and drop.
Drag and drop. So I'll just clear that. So again, highlight, left click, drag and drop. Okay, and then just hit the escape.
Or MD.
MD, yeah. So the thing is that once the view is on your sheet, and this is known as a viewport. Okay, viewport. So when you if you click it once, and the viewport is selected, and then you can use your arrow keys or shift and arrow just to center the view, like so. Now, the other thing, while the view is active, can you see the title? See this line underneath the title? See how long it is? At the end of the line, there's a drag bubble, which if you left click, you can then drag to shorten the line like so. But you have to select the view, like single click the view, to make that active. See this button here? Yeah. So, yeah, to get to that line in the view title, just single click the viewport, and that becomes active. Now, if you click directly on the view title, left click, you can then mouse over it. So you get the move symbol. So you can then move the title independent of the view itself. Okay, like so. So that's clicking directly on the view title and then dragging that where you want it.
Where do you want it?
Oh, it doesn't really matter. I mean, I just put it underneath generally. So the thing is that moving the view title around will be necessary sometimes when you're trying to fit quite a bit on that sheet. You might have 4 elevations on the sheet, for instance, and you'll have to then move the views and the titles to fit them. All right, now notice that if you zoom into the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, see how you've now got the scale listed at 1 to 100? So the title block is picking up on the scale of the view. If you happen to put two views on a sheet that are different scales, this will actually read as indicated. Okay, so it just in this area here, rather than displaying a scale, it'll just say as indicated. Now the other thing, I guess the other thing to note is the see the viewport name here. So remember when we changed in this view, we changed the title on sheet to read floor plan. That's why it's showing floor plan here. Now, if I was to go back to the view itself, this is the view itself here. And by the way, I'll just drag this out to here. Now, if you, under Sheets All, you've got A10 floor plan, okay? If you click the plus sign there, you'll see that that's the view that we've just added to this sheet. Now, if you select this one here, double click that one, it takes you back to the view. Okay, so this is the view. This is where we started. This is the view itself. So double clicking that one takes you to the sheet. That's the view. Okay, so within the view properties, if you remember, down here, title on sheet, this one here, floor plan, okay? So whatever you type in here is going to override the view name. See, if I remove the word floor plan from here, and I go back to the sheet, see how it reverts back to the view name? Okay. So if I then click this view here and type in floor plan, and go back to the sheet itself, it changes it to floor plan. So quite often we want the viewport or the view on the sheet, we want that to be a different name to the view itself. Okay. So that title on sheet will override the view name, so that's what appears on the sheet itself.
So when we're working on it, that's actually the floor plan. It's the FFL, and when we were working on it, but we actually want, and when other people are looking at it, we've got that it's written as.
Yeah. So when we produce the sheet, we just want it to read floor plan.
It's a little bit tricky.
Yeah, it's just something that we'll sort of work on. You know, we'll come to grips with that. I'll instruct you as to what that needs to read. Yeah. Generally, we don't have to change it. You know, because if it's you know, particularly with elevations, I guess, the thing is if you wanted your elevations to read east elevation, you could override that on the sheet and that could be east elevation rather than just east. So it depends what you want to actually appear on the title itself.
Oh, right, okay, so that's if you want to change it. Or change the name of it to something else in terms of, you just rough.
Or draft.
Or draft.
Very bad draft.
Very bad, yeah.
And I guess the thing is that you can even switch off the title if you don't need it, because, you know, if you can appreciate that the name of the sheet indicates what's on the sheet, floor plan, and we've got the scale down here, so we don't really need this title at all. It's just really a duplication, but, you know, just in this initial initial stages of learning, we'll leave it where it is.
That's when you would have title, when you have multiple views on the same sheet, so you're identifying each.
Yeah. Well, if this,
Side elevation,
I mean,
floor plan.
if this sheet, I guess, contained the 4 elevations, each view would have its own title. You know, north, south, east, and west, and they'd be 1 to 100. Okay, so there we have it. That's the floor plan. It's now on an A3 sheet. I guess the last thing to really do now is to show you how to print this to PDF. Okay, so printing. If you go up to the File tab now, down to Print, and then click the Print option here. So this opens up the print dialog. Now, I guess the thing is that you can either print this sheet to a printer, or you can actually convert it to a PDF, like a PDF file. Do you know what I mean by PDF?
Portable document file.
Yeah. So Adobe PDF. So if you wanted to, send this by email, for instance, you'd convert it to a PDF. Typically, with project submissions for TAFE, what we get you to do is actually, so for the assessment task, for instance, we'll actually get you to upload the Revit file that you've been working on, plus a PDF printout of the sheet itself. So 2 files. So what we do here is, firstly, we change the name of the printer. So in this case, we actually choose Adobe PDF. Now the thing is that when you install Revit, it doesn't automatically have this option of Adobe PDF. It's not like Word and Excel that automatically converts to PDF. So if you're doing this, at home, it's quite likely that you don't have the Adobe PDF converter, because to have the Adobe PDF converter, you have to have Adobe Acrobat installed, and that's $40 a month, which I discovered recently because I was being charged $40 a month.
Students, you can buy the suite rent the suite for about $100 a year.
I think as a student you get it for about $27 a month.
Oh, you buy the package, it's a lot cheaper.
Yeah, that's the Creative Suite.
Yeah, it's a lot cheaper.
Yeah. But either way, to have any of the Adobe products on your computer, you have to pay per month. Now, there are free alternatives to this. And in the document that I've produced here, in this area where what we call printing, or where we are here in printing, what we're about to go through now is the print setup, so selecting Adobe PDF. We'll go through the rest of it shortly, but here, for external students, if you don't have Adobe Acrobat installed, there is an alternative, which is this one here called DO PDF. So this is what's known as a PDF printer driver, which you can download and install on your computer at home, and that will give you access to a PDF printer driver or converter.
Does that leave watermark on everything?
No, it doesn't. No. the only problem with this is because it's a free application, you'll get a bit of advertising coming through, but it doesn't put a watermark on the PDF when you convert it. There are a few of these around. This is just one of them. This is a better one because it does the larger page sizes in PDF, so it goes beyond A3. So that's what you'll need to do in order to actually print a PDF in Revit. So first thing we do is we select the printer name, Adobe PDF in this case. We then go to the print setup, this one down here. Then select the paper size, which in this case is A3. Paper placement, we'll come back to that. Now the zoom, this one must always be set to this option here, which is zoom, and 100%. Okay, so that's the important one. Paper placement you can set to centre. Appearance, the rest of this can really stay unchanged. Vector processing, colour, and there are some options down here where, see it says hide crop boundaries. So even if you had your crop boundaries visible, it wouldn't print them. Replace half tone with thin lines. You could tick that option there. So the roof outline is actually in half tone. It's a light grey colour. So if you tick that option, it'll actually print the roof outline as thin black lines. So this option here.
So we're going to tick replace halftone?
Yeah, tick that one. Yeah. Okay. So click OK. So that's done the setup here. Click OK. Then you can just click the preview button. Okay. So that's looking okay as a preview. And then once you've done that, you can go up to the top here and click print. Brings you back to the print dialog here, and then click OK. And what you'll need to do now is just wherever you've saved your Revit file, okay, so wherever you saved the Revit file, the Simple House Revit file that you're currently working on, just go back to that folder. The name of the PDF, is going to be this one here, which is A101-floor plan. So that's the name of the PDF you're about to produce. Okay, A101-floor plan, and then click Save. And when you click Save, it will go through and produce the PDF. So it'll then open up the Adobe Acrobat software and give you show you the actual PDF file. And that essentially is the print PDF. All right, so yes, so we've now produced our first A3 PDF. So, so it's being displayed here in Acrobat. So we can close this, close Acrobat. Just do a final save on your project file. If we go back to the folder that we saved the PDF and the Revit file, so if you can appreciate, you've now got, so in your exercise folder for this exercise, you'll have exercise 1, simple house, so the Revit, the final Revit file. You'll also have the A101 floorplan.pdf, so the two files. So if I double click on the A101 PDF, that's what we've just produced as a print. And as I say, the Revit file itself, so that's the final file. So what you do from here essentially is delete any other Revit files that have numbers in them, because they are backup files, they're not required now. So this is the completion of the exercise. So what you're left with is the primary working file here. Any other files with this file name with numbers in it can be deleted because they are backups. Okay, so we only use or go to backups in the case where the primary file is corrupt. Okay, so you'll always work in this file, open it and save it, and the backup files are only there if you run into problems. All right, so that's the conclusion of exercise 1. Now in our next session we'll move on to exercise 2, which is a 2-story building. All right, so that will that will work on that for, I think, maybe 3 sessions, and then we start preparation for the final test. So it's getting pretty close now. All right, so good. So thanks everyone. And what I suggest perhaps is if you can sort of upload that Revit file in a PDF to OneDrive as just as a secondary backup. All right, thanks everyone.